Hey guys, what a beautiful day it is out there. So I've just got back. I've just been up to the hospital. So I rode up to the hospital this morning. Um, Always a sobering experience. Always one that kind of reminds me of how far I've come, how much I've overcome, how I've really learned to adapt. It is always a thought-provoking experience. Many of you know, but those that you don't, I've lived with a rare form of aggressive arthritis for the last 26 years or so. Um, and it's known as ankylosing spondylitis. And the thing is with ankylosing spondylitis, AS as it's known, it's an autoimmune disorder. So what happens is the immune system is working a lot harder. It's working a lot faster and a lot harder than it needs to. It almost picks up as if there's a problem within the body. So if you've got flu, the immune system kicks in. If you cut yourself, you fall over, you bruise yourself, the immune system kicks in to kind of clear up the body. So with AS, it's always picking up that there's something wrong. So in a way, and this is what I really learned, okay? So, I got to a point where, I was on a walking stick. I was unable to walk from where I am to the bathroom unaided and without help. So you reach a crisis point, and I reached that crisis point, and I thought to myself, oh my God, this cannot continue. This cannot carry on as it is. And it was a real wake up for me. And I remember kind of sitting there thinking, I've got to start fighting this. I've got to stop fighting. And indirectly, what I started to realise is what I've got to do is I've got to stop fighting myself, because if you kind of look, the immune system is turning in on itself. It is fighting itself. Okay, so that was a really powerful kind of awareness and a real powerful healing experience for me at that time to realise, I've got to stop fighting. I've got to stop fighting myself. What I've got to do is I've got to befriend this condition. I've got to become friends with it. And indirectly, I become friends with me. And importantly, what is it trying to teach me? What is it trying to show me? And do you know what? When I started to approach it from kind of that level of awareness, it started to teach me so much, I had two major leg operations, two major hip operations. I learned to walk again. I got off walking stick, I got off crutches, and many of my close friends will remember a time when I was on a walking stick and I was on crutches, and that was a kind of permanent fixture at that time. I was on a walking stick for probably the best part of a couple of years. Here I am, whizzing around on a bike. So we've come a long way, and what that kind of does is it really kind of reminds you of how important our health is. Okay, those of you that haven't seen it, is dear Holly Butcher, courageous, wonderful young lady, 27 years old, diagnosed with an aggressive cancer. The day before she passed, she wrote a letter with the intention of that letter being shared on social media and it kind of being a gift to all of us. And what an amazing letter, because it really does once again remind us all of what truly really is important in this life. And if you haven't read it, please do go and read it. I will put a link into this video as well with that post. And it really brings home the importance of our health, because I think that our health is not a given, and our health, if we have our health, we absolutely have the foundation to so much more. And that is really, really important. If you take, take Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, okay, hugely successful, multi-million billionaire. hugely successful. We all use smartphones, and many of us will use Apple products. Bless him, he had immense amount of resources at his fingertips, immense amount of finances, but without your health, we really do not have anything. And kind of that post from Dear Holly, and the experiences like I've had this morning, always a reminder. I have to have my blood screened every 6 months, and right across the board: liver function, kidney function, bone density, cholesterol. They're really all looked at. And then once a year, I go and see my rheumatologist, my consultant that I've seen for many, 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 many years. And it really drives home how important our health is. And today, he was saying to me that my inflammation markers are a lot higher than they have been for a very, very long time. That could be a number of things. It could be that it's time of year, it's winter time. It also could be that when my bloods were taken, they were taken first thing in the morning, and first thing in the morning I have to get moving, So, I constantly are working, investing in myself to keep this in the space that it is. And that self-investment is absolutely vital. It's hugely vital. And that's something I learned a long time ago, that self-investment is really important. And not only is it self-investment, it's actually self-respect. The more that we begin to respect ourselves, the more then we can respect those things that we come into contact with and the people around us. On the way back, I passed the retail park, and the retail park was just massively busy. There was cars queuing in to get there. There was hundreds of cars parked. There was people just kind of moving around, all consuming. All consuming. And I remember kind of before Christmas, I was sharing these posts about giving the gift of experience rather than the gift of stuff, because I quite often ask myself, how much of that stuff is needed and how much of that stuff is just a want. And there is a difference between a want and a need. And something that really kind of drives home to me is that a wise guy who was talking a while ago about sit spots. Those of you don't know what a sit spot is. It's kind of like a spot that you would kind of just sit within nature, that you return time and time again. You kind of watch the seasons change. It's kind of a form of meditation in a way, or a form of mindfulness. But kind of with a sit spot, you kind of drop into the fabric of the land, and it kind of really kind of just anchors you. It's a kind of beautiful kind of approach. And he was talking about, so many people say about living off the land. And he said, no, that's not what it's about. It's about living with the land. And that really struck a chord with me, because if you think about the way that we all kind of are living on a day-to-day level, do you think this can be sustained? Do you think that level of consumerism can be sustained? And for me, the more deeper I fall into that sense of deeper alignment, the more I drop into my deeper core values. Maybe also the older that I get, the more I only but want to stay very close to them, because actually for me it's really painful to come away from them. It is literally painful, emotionally and physically. It's painful to come away from those core values, those things that are vitally important. And when you kind of look at the world's moving so fast. And David Attenborough was saying about that we're moving into a time that the ocean has more plastic in it than fish. What is going on? I think that for me, I don't want to be kind of adding to that. Actually, what I want to try to do is to, in a way, give back, because, we're all taking, and the earth, if you like, is paying all the bills. And actually, for me, I want to kind of move gently through this world as much as I possibly can, and I'm looking to what I can give back, rather than always taking, because what we have is an immense gift. But if we continue, and I'm convinced of this, if we, and it's something I feel very strongly from the innate, which is maybe why I'm starting to make some different choices, why I'm starting to wake up to that, because we all kind of just subconsciously go to the supermarket, we buy what we buy, and then we kind of get home and we kind of unpack that and we do what we do, and so much of that is subconscious. You've done it for a long period of time, and actually that at that level, that can be also a form of conditioning that we're all used to doing. It just becomes subconscious behaviour. It's a bit like driving to work day in, day out. You kind of don't think about it, you just do it. So I suddenly got this kind of sense of awakening to the fact that what am I doing, and what choices am I making, and what organisations am I supporting? Are all of those things aligned to my core values? So you're going to see over the next a month, going out probably on a Saturday, is some thought-provoking posts that are along that line. Going back, my early working career, I worked in a kitchen environment. I worked around chefs. I was wanting to become a qualified skilled chef myself. I see myself as a cook, and one of the things that I always say, especially when it comes to friends, sharing a meal, I absolutely love creating and sharing and breaking bread. Is a very important part of who I am. It's a very ancient thing to kind of sit at a table and share a meal together and break bread, so to speak. So that passion was there, and I think that when you were kind of busy and we move through life, is that we don't always think about it, and I always try to gently be mindful about bringing that food together with heart. And I think that my experience in Scotland was that really appreciating a hot meal, of not having a hot meal for days upon days upon days, and being in real remote country, being away from shops and civilization, it kind of really brings home a deeper appreciation. And then nowadays you've got younger members of family kind of asking some very thought-provoking questions to what we eat and why we eat what we eat, and that kind of makes you kind of question the fact, actually, a lot of the choices that we make are kind of conditioned. And you'll see where this is going with me, and what I'm trying to kind of share. I'm going to invite you along for the journey. And the thing is, with a journey like this, sometimes it's going to be hugely thought-provoking. Sometimes you're not always going to agree with it. Sometimes it's going to stir up, because what it's doing and what it's done for me is challenge what I've known for a very long time, and in a way kind of challenge some of my beliefs, on some of the choices I make, and as I say, at the heart of that is what choices am I making on a day-to-day level, and what impact do they have on the world as a whole. I think we all have a responsibility and a duty, really, to kind of take care of this world around us and take care of each other within it, for the sake of our children's children, because if we continue at the current trend we are, and if we don't on an individual level start changing, then we are going to F this world up good and proper, and that is an absolute guarantee. And I had someone say to me the other day, is why bother, Shane? Well, that's exactly why I need to bother, because if we all have that attitude, then nothing ever will change. And I think that it's about us bothering on an individual level. It's the simple things, making sure that carton does get recycled, or that plastic bottle does go into the recycling, or better still, don't use that plastic bottle, you know. When you go to supermarket, you know, it's all the little things that you can do that actually, if we all start doing it, it makes a massive change. And I think that for me, you'll see I'm going to be making some kind of profound choices that as we go forwards becomes clearer and clearer. So a little bit of a longer video, but I kind of really wanted to kind of share with you some of where I'm at and what is going on. And you know, for me, I've got those skills, you know, I have those skills to begin to kind of actually, you know, kind of simplify, you know, the way that we live, you know, because I think we can't keep eating like we are. We can't keep moving through the world like we are. Even down to the fact I cycle, I'm kind of, now I see the real benefit for that is, you know, I'm moving through the world gently. I'm healthier for it. It's kind of leaving a gentle footprint. You know, all of those things are becoming really vitally important to me. So, bit of a long share, guys. But hopefully it's left you with something to think about, as I say, as we go forwards. You know, what's the pace for a Saturday? On Saturdays, they're going to be this way inclined. They're going to have this ilk to it. And as last thought I want to leave you with, you know, it's not about kind of living off the land. It's about living with the land. And maybe we do just have that duty for the sake of our children's children. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.